All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to talk about Dillian Whyte and the robbery that just took place against Jermaine Franklin. Dillian. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the heavyweight division talking about Dillian Whyte's fight against Jermaine Franklin, which, man, ain't no way. Before I get into that, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button. If you are a longtime subscriber and supporter to the channel, thank you so much for your continued support. It really, really does mean a lot. So let's get into this. There was a fight with Dillian Whyte, the former mandatory challenger to Deontay Wilder, former mandatory challenger to Tyson Fury. After his loss by knockout to Tyson Fury in his last fight, he came back and fought an undefeated American who goes by the name of Jermaine Taylor, a very, honestly, a talented heavyweight, man. Looked like he was a very, very solid fighter. And in short, Jermaine Franklin apparently needed a knockout to get a draw in that fight. Now, if you didn't get to see the fight, it was on DAZN, and it was a 12-round fight, 12-round non-title fight. And the winner of this is supposed to be the next opponent for Anthony Joshua. Dillian Whyte was trained by Buddy McGirt, and Jermaine Taylor, again, was an undefeated American fighter. They wound up having the scorecards. I think it was 115-115, then 116-112, 116-112. The only problem is that the only way that you could do that is if you gave every conceivable close round to Dillian Whyte. And in my opinion, Dillian Whyte did not do enough in many of those rounds to in order to win those rounds. Jermaine Franklin, sorry, man, I'm going to keep saying Jermaine Taylor. I was talking about him earlier on a live stream about Bernard Hopkins. But Jermaine Taylor would start off the round very solid, would work to Dillian Whyte's body, counter punch Dillian Whyte very, very well. Dillian Whyte pretty much was throwing a lot of shots that I thought were getting caught on the gloves by Jermaine Franklin, and getting caught on the elbows from Jermaine Franklin. Every once in a while, Dillian Whyte in a round, Dillian Whyte would get Franklin up against the ropes, and he would throw these big bolo right hands. Many of them did not land. And I think the only way that you could give this guy credit for a lot of those rounds is if you just wanted to score those rounds for Dillian Whyte, because Dillian Whyte was the guy, the hometown guy, and he was to win that fight means that he gets to have a rematch with Anthony Joshua, which should be a pretty big fight between him and Anthony Joshua. But for me and my money, I thought Jermaine Franklin won that fight. I think he outworked him in the majority of the rounds. I know the CompuBox isn't everything, but he threw about the same amount of punches. He landed more punches. And he had a higher punch connection percentage. Also, every big shot that I saw that Dillian Whyte landed, because he most definitely did land some big shots during that fight, I think they were countered with other really big shots by Franklin. So to me, if you had the score 115-115, I would say okay, but the 116, 160, what is it? 116-112, what have you? No, man, I'm not down with that, man. I do not. I kind of figured I was more along the lines of what's that man's name? Gosh, man, the guy that was former heavyweight champion. Man, I forget his name, but he was the one that was doing the online commentary. He kept having a bunch of 10-10 rounds. He had a 10-10 round in the 12th. Now, the funny thing is that in the 12th round, I do believe that Dillian Whyte landed the bigger shot, like the one that, and I think it was looked like the bigger shot because he loaded up on the shot and it landed. But there were just as many or more clear shots. David Hay was the name that I was looking for. Just as many or more shots landed by Jermaine Franklin. But you know what it is. You're on the road. You're not going to get the decision on a matchroom card against Dillian Whyte. You know, when Dillian Whyte is going to be trying to fight Anthony Joshua. But I would be remiss if I did not mention this. That hey, man. Those guys out there in the UK, it's really tough out there in boxing for those dudes. All of those guys that, like, this is the guy, Dillian Whyte, that people were talking about for so long would beat Deontay Wilder. Man, ain't no way in the world if this man is having that type of tooth and nail battle with Jermaine Franklin that he's going to win a fight with Deontay Wilder. That dude was going to get hit with a big old shot and get put up out of there. Now, I do have to come to the defense, however, of his trainer, Buddy McGirt. Buddy McGirt, you could tell what he worked on, man. How he worked on his defense, worked on deflecting shots, specifically, worked on, defending that uppercut that Dillian Whyte has been knocked out with on multiple occasions. That's wild, man. Dillian Whyte has been knocked out on 3 different occasions, but got knocked out with an uppercut against Alexander Povetkin in his most recent knockout loss to Tyson Fury with the big uppercut. Just, man, like I've said, man, I think Dillian Whyte has been one of the more overrated heavyweights of this. Man, he's probably the number 1 overrated heavyweight of this century. I can't think of anybody that has gotten more noise around him because of his promoter, Eddie Hearn in Matchroom, with less ability than Dillian Whyte. To me, I think Dillian Whyte, Joseph Parker, specifically Dillian Whyte, Joseph Parker, Carlos Takam, those guys are all pretty much in a mix to fight, with each other and with Anthony Joshua, and got their name built big during the time where Anthony Joshua, had the 3 belts and was winning fights, and people were talking about he was the greatest fighter, a greater heavyweight than Muhammad Ali because of how big and strong he was. Nah, man, I think these dudes are just, upper level, maybe be a little bit too harsh, but upper level, domestic level fighters, UK fighters. Because this guy, Jermaine Franklin, definitely a good fight, man. But the dude did not carry very much power. I'll tell you for sure, if Jermaine Franklin had enough power, had as much power as Andy Ruiz did, man, Dillian Whyte would have been out of there. And I don't think that Dillian Whyte can beat, and I don't think he can beat Andy Ruiz. I definitely don't believe, even at this stage, that he could beat Luis Ortiz. And man, I'd be real interested in seeing a bout between him and Charles Martin. But we will get to see him fight Anthony Joshua in a non-title match. I'm sure they will blow it up like it is, 2 of the best heavyweights in the world. But nah, man, you know what they say? It's that Humpty Dumpty, man. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. and I don't care how many of Eddie Hearn's horses or men come to pick him up, they ain't putting Humpty Dumpty back together again. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.